Big discounts feel like victories at first, until their consequences become clear. Nissan Rogue. High volume is supposed to preserve value, but this vehicle shows the opposite. When production exceeds desire, the Nissan Rogue from 2023 through 2024 lands at number 10 because it was manufactured faster than the market could absorb. For years, the Rogue symbolized dependable transportation, a familiar design that promised predictability. Then, output surged. Factories ran at full speed, incentives piled up, and fleets absorbed units by the thousands. The result was saturation, and saturation destroys pricing power. Oversupply isn't theoretical. It appears as rows of nearly identical listings, hundreds deep, each price slightly below the last. Dealers cut prices on new Rogues to make room, and every discount on a new unit pulls used values down with it as nearly new vehicles compete directly with brand new ones. The used market loses its reference point. Residual projections weaken, and trade-in offers become cautious. The Rogue also suffers from uniformity. Trim levels blur together, styling updates fail to signal meaningful progress, and rivals crowd the same segment. In a class with little differentiation, abundance becomes a disadvantage. Buyers don't rush to purchase what they know will still be plentiful tomorrow. They wait, and waiting is toxic for resale value. By late 2024, lease returns began stacking on top of an already saturated retail market. Rental fleets cycled inventory back into circulation, auctions filled, and price discovery reset lower. This is how a vehicle shifts from reliable to disposable, without a single mechanical failure. Nothing breaks, yet value collapses. Owners anticipate gradual depreciation, and instead face accelerated losses as soon as loan balances exceed offers. Oversupply doesn't make headlines, but it drains equity with brutal efficiency. Number 10 earns its ranking because it illustrates the most basic rule of markets. When everyone owns it, no one pays a premium for it. Automakers pursue scale because scale promises stability. But scale, without discipline, becomes a force pulling prices downward. Once values slide, recovery requires scarcity, patience, and time, none of which come quickly in crowded segments. The numbers tighten, and depreciation accelerates faster than optimism can keep pace, with real consequences for households carrying long-term loans today. If abundance alone can hollow out value this quickly, the next example shows what happens when confidence itself begins to crack. Jeep Grand Cherokee L. Trust is invisible until it fails, and once it does, sheer size cannot keep an SUV standing. The Jeep Grand Cherokee L ranks 9th because confidence eroded faster than physical substance could compensate. This three-row expansion aimed to elevate a storied name, stretching it into a more premium space with added room, presence, and pricing. Instead, it revealed weaknesses long hidden by reputation. The issue wasn't a single damaging headline, it was accumulation, software bugs, recalls, and uneven build quality quietly stacked up. Each problem minor in isolation, but together heavy enough to raise concern. Reports of electrical issues and drivability complaints circulated, while solutions lagged. When reliability narratives weaken, resale markets respond immediately. Offers soften sooner than owners expect, then reset lower. Brand trust works like a credit score. It takes years to establish and moments to damage. The Grand Cherokee name once carried authority built over decades. The longer wheelbase and added complexity of the L variant diluted that certainty. More systems introduced more variables, and variables breed doubt. Once doubt takes hold, used demand thins. Even when the vehicle performs well, perception shifts before headlines catch up. By 2023 and 2024, incentives rose to maintain volume. Growing discounts signaled hesitation, and hesitation translated directly into perceived risk. Residual values adjusted quickly. Auction results confirmed the change as late-model units sold below expectations, not because of lost appeal, but because confidence premiums vanished. Engineering updates can't instantly restore belief, and belief is what supports resale when markets grow cautious. The next entry shows how frustration overtakes doubt when technology itself becomes the problem. If this analysis has already changed how you view SUV values, like the video so more people see it. Subscribe to the channel. Volkswagen ID. 4. A screen should never dominate the cabin experience, yet here it became the defining element, the Volkswagen ID.4 ranks 8th because software turned ownership into a constant compromise. This electric SUV launched with ambitious goals, positioned as an accessible gateway into electrification backed by a global brand. What followed wasn't one failure, but a downward spiral that reshaped perception from within. A screen should never dominate the cabin experience, yet here it became the defining element, the Volkswagen ID.4 ranks 8th because software turned ownership into a constant compromise. This electric SUV launched with ambitious goals, positioned as an accessible gateway into electrification backed by a global brand. What followed wasn't one failure, but a downward spiral that reshaped perception from within. At the core was the interface. Slow touch responses and confusing menus turned simple tasks into annoyances. Climate controls lagged, navigation froze. Updates promised fixes, but often introduced new issues. When the primary interface feels unreliable, frustration escalates quickly. That frustration doesn't remain private. It spreads through reviews, forums, and resale listings. Software issues carry a distinct weight in valuation because they feel permanent. Mechanical problems can be repaired. Software exists everywhere and nowhere, relying on updates, servers, and corporate follow-through. This decline runs deeper than numbers suggest. A vehicle designed to simplify ownership instead introduced hesitation into every drive. That hesitation erodes attachment, and attachment is what preserves value when markets soften. Without it, listings stagnate, prices slide, and sellers chase a declining floor. Volkswagen invested heavily in production capacity, assuming software improvements would catch up. The mismatch in timing proved expensive, oversupply met reluctance, and reluctance accelerates depreciation faster than competition alone ever could. Even meaningful improvements struggle to overcome hardened first impressions. While code can be rewritten, trust in daily usability takes much longer to rebuild. What once felt time-tested now feels frozen. The platform dates back more than a decade, designed for a period when fuel costs, emissions pressure, and digital expectations mattered less. As competitors evolved with lighter materials, modern drivetrains, and integrated technology, the QX80 remained largely unchanged. Updates focused on appearance rather than structural progress. That decision preserved familiarity in the short term, but sacrificed long-term relevance. Platform obsolescence is subtle. It doesn't announce itself through failures or scandals. Instead, it appears in comparison charts, efficiency metrics, and buyer hesitation. Fuel consumption feels harder to justify as prices